Now that we've covered naming folders, let's discuss naming files, which is also extremely important to staying organized. First, we'll cover support files, which go in the In folder. When it comes to support files, it's most important to describe what you're dealing with so that we don't have to open the file to find out. When it comes to support files, the year and client code are kind of optional. For instance, consider a logo file. Unlike a simple image of a cat or something, logos are usually for companies that have a long lifespan, which means the logo could change in the coming years, so a simple year indicator is really useful. And especially for logos, the client is very important. But since logos get thrown around and emailed a lot, I suggest ditching the client code in favor of the full name. Logos are just one example of how you can tweak the org3 system. Then comes the friendly name and descriptors. It's really important to consider if you're accurately describing the file contents here. Don't just call it logo file. What kind of logo is it? What color is it? You might even consider including the color space or if the logo has a tagline. Whatever's important without forcing the file name to be super long. And finally, a version number and file extension. Especially for illustrations and retouched photos, always put a version in the file name at the end so you know if additional work has been done to it. And always include the file extension so everyone knows what type of file they're dealing with. So, project files. Project files are what you do all of your work in, like InDesign, even PowerPoint or Microsoft Word or anything similar to that. For naming, follow all the same conventions as support files, except the year, client code, friendly name, all should be there every single time. This is just in case a project is sent out or otherwise separated from the job folder. This project file is where all your work goes and it needs to always match up with the job folder. This is so that confusion doesn't creep in when files get sent out for approval, then changes return, and you need to correctly match that file to the correct job, the correct version, and edit the correct source files to make changes. So first up in the project file name is the year. It's kind of mandatory, you need to know what year this project was made. Next up is the client code. Again, this is a must. And the serial number. You need to assign a unique number to identify this job. Whatever you do, don't overdo it. Just start at 001, and each time you start a new job, just go up one. And since you have the year and client already in the name, this will be unique even when you start over at 001 each year. This also has the benefit of keeping track of how many jobs you've done each year. Next up is the friendly name. Think about this one. Make it count. It might not be the same as in the folder name. What is the deliverable? If there's multiple sizes of the deliverable, is it appropriate to put that in the file name here? Whatever is most descriptive about this file as it relates to the overall job, it should be in this file name if possible. Then near the end of the file name is the version number. The most important info to make this organization system work is the version of the project file. Seriously, it's just 2 letters, V1. Increment as you see fit. I don't make a new version for simple text changes, but I usually do a new version as soon as there's something changing that I can't easily redo or change. And finally is the file extension. I've harped on this before, but it's really important to know what kind of file you're dealing with. Make sure file extensions are turned on and the extension matches the software needed to open the file. Otherwise, who knows how to open the damn thing? And then lastly are the final output files. When you think you're finished, you're hardly ever really finished, are you? So be sure to label with a version number. This version number should correspond to the version of the project file. To make a file for final consideration, collect all the source artwork, a copy of the project file, and maybe a PDF for viewing, and put it in a zip file. Once approved, that zip can be sent out as final to whoever should need it. And finally, archiving. At the end of the year, that zip, along with any others for any other jobs, can be collected as a backup for the year. To perform the yearly archive, simply do a search finding all the zips for the year and place into a client folder on an archive server or other backup. Always back up onto 2 physical devices to protect yourself against corrupt files. Upon completion, if you choose to save space on your working server and you are willing to forgo the no longer needed support files, You can delete the year's jobs from your working server because all the necessary files to replicate the job have been backed up onto 2 other devices.